right, welcome back. Here we are again, another nice night. I've been up and down about whether we were gonna do this all day. Like, do I do it tonight? Do I do it tomorrow? And then D23 is happening right now as we speak. All the major announcements are happening. You know, we just got the reveal of the X-Men cast like 10 minutes ago. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do it now. This is not going to be like the Twitter thing we did a few weeks ago where we were just like on Twitter. I'm going to keep Twitter open in the background. But no, we're going to play some Pokemon tonight. We'll go for like an hour, you know, catch a shiny Psyduck or two. And then we'll just call it. So yeah, tonight we got some D23 stuff. We got an update on the Elder Scrolls 6. I don't know. I threw it in the notes. It's not that much. And then for WIBE, we've got a few things. We got two things. I got a food thing, and I got a movie. And that's literally it. I've got nothing else. I have been so fucking busy this week. I have had time for next to nothing. But hey, you know, the show still finds a way. I've got a cherry limeade that has been sitting in the fridge for like 6 hours now. Because I was saving it for this. And that literally, this is the only reason we're doing this tonight. Is because I have this cherry limeade. And I'm like, well, I don't want it to get watered down overnight. Because I bought it and then I had to do other things. And so yeah, it's been just sitting in the fridge. But oh, is that good? Oh, fuck, is that good? All right, so let me boot up Pokemon. So if you don't know, currently there's an event thing going on in Pokemon. Or, well, technically it happened a few weeks ago. But, you know, so this is a whole thing where there's a mass outbreak. There's two going on. There's a Dondozo and Tatsugiri one. And then there is a water type one, which is like Psyduck, Feebas, Lapras, which we don't need to get, and a few other things. So we're gonna check out what these are, go get whatever Pokemon we need to, and then just today we're just gonna do Psyduck. Because here's the thing, if you look at some of these outbreaks, Basculin, like the only difference between normal and shiny Basculin is it's a little lighter. Shiny Slowpoke is basically indistinguishable from not shiny Slowpoke. Like they literally changed shiny Slowpoke in the future game. Shiny Feebas is purple, which is nice, and shiny Lapras is purple, but we don't need shiny Lapras. And then the reason we're not doing Dondozo and Tatsugiri is because those are up in the Lake Casseroy up here, right? You can see them. And those are going to suck because of Veluza. There is also shiny Veluza, which we will also do at some point. But those raids are going to suck. So I think today we're just going to do Psyduck. It should hopefully be fine. If I can find it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're just going to do shiny Psyduck. We'll hunt for like an hour. My goal is to, I think I might already have a shiny Psyduck. So I think we only technically need one. But, you know, I prefer to get two if we can. Currently, I am wearing a wrist brace because, God, I don't know what I did, but I fucking hurt the shit out of my wrist. You know, carpal tunnel line. Ah, God, I don't know. And usually, like, when my wrist hurts, it's my left wrist because, you know, I'm left-handed. But for some reason today, my right wrist has just been killing me. So I've currently got it in a brace, and it is weird. So yeah, with that, I guess let's talk about the news. So like I said, we got two stories. The first one is the Elder Scrolls 6, because Asha Sharma put out a thing where she had seen that, so we'll talk about that. And our second story, our more important one, is D23. You know, a few weeks ago, we did the whole Comic-Con one where we sat down and we checked out Marvel's Comic-Con feed. Well, D23 is going on right now. We're getting more and more information as we speak. Right, they're showing off stuff about X-Men, new things. We got the cast for X-Men. So we'll go over all of that. We have plenty of stuff. We got new trailers, which we're not going to watch because Disney, for some fucking reason, has been super litigious about copyright recently. Like, you can't, like, again, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Back in the day, you used to be able to like show a trailer and do a live reaction. Nowadays, you can't do that anymore. You cannot live react to a trailer. YouTube just copyright strikes it down. I don't know why these companies do this, but they do. So we got a bunch of information from a bunch of different sources, and we're gonna go over everything. I will go over. There is one video game bit though in there though, so it is still kind of relevant, but I don't think it matters. So our first thing is Asha Sharma this week. She visited Bethesda Studios in Austin. And so out of that, she did see a playthrough, probably not like a full playthrough. But you know, it was at least some sort of footage of the Elder Scrolls 6 to see how it's showing, to see how it's progressing. And yeah, her quote was, "The scale and grandeur are incredible. The story is even greater." So she's impressed with the Elder Scrolls 6. As you know, it was her and a few other investors probably. They do, and in the tweet, she says the Elder Scrolls 6, and then just a bunch of stars. So there is going to obviously be a subtitle, but they're not revealing what that subtitle is. So we don't know what that is yet, but like, there is definitely going to be one. I think that there was a rumor of something like Elder Scrolls 6. It wasn't Sturgeon, but it was something like that. And I don't know if I fully believe those rumors. It also might be a Starfield thing, or maybe it was like a code name. You know how like games use like different code names? It might be that it was originally codenamed like Sturgeon or something. It's not Sturgeon was not the word. I just don't remember what the actual word was. But so we got that. There's been a lot of talk about like, okay, so it's looking good. That's, you know, I know people give Bethesda a lot of shit, all of which Bethesda rightfully deserves, because they're fucking Bethesda. You know, for every good thing they've done, there's always a catch. There's always some sort of terrible thing that's happened. So like, rightfully so, they deserve all that shit. But, you know, I've liked some Bethesda stuff. Bethesda has a certain style that I know not everyone's a fan of. They've got their formulas, you know, the creation engine's a fucking mess. But I'm a fan of that stuff. I like the jink of the creation engine. I like the Bethesda formula of explore, combat, loot. That's fun to me. I know it's not fun to everybody, but it's fun to me. So, I don't know, there's a part of me that's kind of worried about a new Skyrim. Because whereas like with Fallout, it's like, okay, you know, we've got a new city, new things to explore. Outside of Skyrim, I don't really have much experience with the Elder Scrolls. I know this sounds weird, but yeah, like I have not played the Oblivion remaster. Skyrim for me was always kind of like this weird exception for a series I'm not like a huge fan of, and I never beat Skyrim. Skyrim is one of those games that you like go around and you play, but who actually gives a shit about the story of Skyrim? Who cares about the Nords and their stupid fucking content? Nobody cares about the Nords. Nobody cares about Alfred Thundercock or whatever his name is. Right? Like none of that shit, man. I know I don't know, I had the idea for a stream a long time ago that was like Skyrim, but we play it as boring as possible. And so you literally just do a generic Nord sword fighter and you only do the story quest. And I had that idea and I was like, oh, that'd be a fun thing to do. Like that could be a funny stream. At least in theory, you know, depending on how like straight we play it. but I just never got around to it. Mainly because I have not touched Skyrim. Like, I know there's that meme of like people who buy Skyrim like 6 times. I have bought Skyrim at most twice. Once on the Xbox 360 when it came out. And then again, probably on like the Xbox One later on. Or something like that. I did not play that much Skyrim. I never had it on. I had Fallout 4 on the PS4 and later the PS5, right? But I did not put that much time into Skyrim. It especially didn't help that my save file corrupted and I lost like everything after like 30, I think it was like 30 hours in, probably more than that, let's be honest. But you know, I started Skyrim, I was exploring around, my save file corrupted, and I was like, fuck, do I really want to do all of that again? Not really. I don't know, I did not put, my first playthrough of Skyrim did not go that long. And my second playthrough years later, I don't even remember much of. I know there are people who have put like 1,000 hours into Skyrim. I'm not one of them. I've put a lot into Fallout 4. I've put some into Fallout New Vegas, but Skyrim, not really. So when do we see the Elder Scrolls 6? A lot of people are saying 2028. The number I see floating around right now a lot is 2028. And I don't know where they're getting that from. Not from these Council of Psyducks here. I love when the Pokemon do this, where they like follow you around and they like form a circle around you. It's always very cute. And so much better than the ones that attack. But yeah, I see a lot of people saying 2028. And based on everything we're hearing about Elder Scrolls 6, I think it might be next year. I know this is a crazy take, but I think I don't know if it's going to release next year, Mike. But probably not at this year's Game Award. Probably not, but like by E3 of next year, I could see us having our first reveal for the Elder Scrolls 6. Maybe then it has a 2028 release date, but I do legitimately think that it is next year that we're gonna finally start seeing stuff. I don't know, Bethesda is one of those studios that does a quick turnaround. Not like turnaround in making the games, but they don't announce games, with the big exception until like a few months before launch. Right, Fallout 4 was announced, or officially revealed and released within 6 months. Fallout 76, the same thing. The old Starfield, yes, technically it had been revealed much earlier, but when it had its big re-reveal, it came out like 6 months later. Right, the real exceptions to that are Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, which we know the only reason they announced Elder Scrolls 6 so early is because they were announcing a mobile game. And Bethesda knows that when you announce a mobile game or something that people don't like, you also need to give them something they like. So they announced Elder Scrolls 6 in order to like levy against people who were like, oh, why is Bethesda putting their time into this stupid mobile game? Which, as far as I know, is dead. Like, I think Fallout Shelter still continues on, I think. But the Elder Scrolls mobile game is dead and has been dead for a long time. But they weighed that by being like, okay, well, if you don't like the mobile game, well, don't worry, Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production. Of course, that was like a decade ago now. That was like 2017, 2018. But still, that's why they did it. Other than that, I don't think they would have actually done that. And they did the same thing with Starfield. The reason why they announced Starfield so early was because of that. I think that one was, though, for Fallout 76. So, I don't know. But I do think we're going to see something next year. I think I could see E3. I could see something at the Game Awards. Do I think we're getting something at the Game Awards this year? No. maybe I could see them giving us another teaser and being like, hey, come back later in 2027 for the official reveal of the Elder Scrolls 6. But I don't see anything more than that. I don't know. I do think it is totally possible that we get the Elder Scrolls 6 next year. I think that is totally within the realm of possibility, but it's more likely in 2028. But I feel like a lot of people are just like being like, no, it's 2028. There's no way it's that close to being done. I think it is more likely than you think. Like, I know we all make fun of Bethesda for being lazy, but to be fair, they did an entire Starfield. Like, this isn't as bad as like GTA, which, to be fair, between GTA 5 and 6, they did a whole Red Dead Redemption, which I feel like a lot of people just discount. So the other thing, the reason why we're probably also getting this information is because Xbox did a bunch of layoffs a few weeks ago. And of course, I'm going to remind you of Xbox's layoffs because the CWA is also going to remind you. So while this visit from Asha Sharma was going down, outside of Bethesda's office, they set up a giant inflatable rat and then planted these little red flags with a sign that says one flag equals one person, right? One person fired from the company. So, you know, we haven't forgotten. Like, I know PlayStation is getting all the shit right now for their ending of discs. And, you know, other companies like Capcom and Take-Two are like doubling down and agreeing with them. Let's not also forget that Microsoft also laid off a bunch of people. Like, that still has not changed anything. It sucks. It does suck, all these people getting fired. And, you know, this is just your friendly reminder that that did still happen. And the gaming industry is a fucking shithole. Because it is. And it has not gotten much better. All right. I think that's all I got for the Bethesda stuff. So let's talk D23. So if you don't know, D23 is the biannual Disney convention. It happens every like 2 or 3 years where Disney announces all their upcoming projects for the next 2 or 3 years, you know, until the next D23. So they do a big conference showcase where they gather all the different parts of Disney together, you know, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars, all that. It is currently going on as we speak, right? The big showcase started, I don't know, probably almost 2 hours ago now, and they just keep announcing shit. So I'm gonna go over everything. I have not looked at Twitter in the past like 20 minutes, but we'll look at Twitter and see what has been announced while I'm talking. But, you know, I've got the past 2 hours of stuff as well. So I'm gonna start off with the Marvel stuff. We have the official cast for the new X-Men movie. The new X-Men movie comes out May 5th, 2028. So it's still a ways away, but it's after Doomsday. It's after Secret Wars. Our cast is Christopher Abbott as Professor X, who admittedly I'm not too familiar with. I don't recognize them from anything, at least that I've seen in, you know, recentish memory. Kit Connors is Cyclops. So Kit Connors, I know from Heartstoppers. I don't think I haven't actually really seen Heartstoppers. They are 22 years old, which, yeah, you know, contrasting off of Sadie Sink, who is Jean Grey, who is 24 years old. I think that's a good match. I know people feel differently about them doing a younger X-Men cast. I'm fine with a younger X-Men. I really like Jean Grey as Sadie Sink. I like all the if you've been on Twitter, we've been getting a lot of good fan art of Jean Grey recently. You know, like, I've seen people call Jean Grey Marvel Girl for the first time in fucking years because of this new Spider-Man movie. That's cool. Oh my gosh, if you are not on Twitter right now, I know Twitter is a lawless hellscape that fucking sucks, you know, Elon Musk's X. But go on Twitter right now, because there's this trend of a trans Petra Parker in Spider-Woman. And it's specifically J. Jonah Jameson hates Spider-Woman, not because she's trans, but because she's giving a bad name to the good trans people like Petra. And it's the fucking lifeblood. There is so much great fan art of a trans femme Petra Parker. And it's been going on for the past like day or two over on Twitter. I don't know what kicked it off. It was just like this one piece of fan art. Because that's the thing about J. Jonah Jameson, is he's like this big angry journalist, but he is an ally at the end of the day. He supports trans rights. He supports mutants. You know, he fought against segregation, right? J. Jonah Jameson, he may be an angry asshole, but he's a good person. He's got upstanding moral qualities. He's just an asshole while he's doing it. And so, right, the big crux of this is all based around like Jameson hating Spider-Woman and just being like, yeah, Petra, you know, you go support yourself. Get me pictures of Spider-Woman. It's so good. So much good art. I have just been liking stuff all day long. Like everything I see is just so good. Oh my gosh. And it's one of those things where it just keeps coming. I'm trying to find the post that started it, at least that I saw that started it, was it was a guy named at Otrebot, 0TREBOT, and he made a post called Woke New Day, which is again trans Spider-Man, and then like Petra, go get me photos. And it's just good. It's just a really good, it's a cute little comic, and it's so fucking good, and it's just sending me. And we've getting more stuff from them, but from so many other artists. It's great. Like, just for this one moment, it's great on Twitter. It's gonna go back to being shit here in a few days, but for the moment, oh, I'm living it. Oh, you better believe I'm living it. All right, continuing on. Obviously, Sadie Sink is Jean Grey. I do wonder what they're gonna do with the X-Men, what they're gonna do with her. Because here's the thing. I remember Nikhil Clayton once talking about how, you know, all these movies try to do the Dark Phoenix saga as like the big ending of the X-Men, when no, the Dark Phoenix saga is not the ending. It's the beginning. And honestly, if they want to do the Dark Phoenix saga, I'm down for them to actually do it, but I want it to be comic accurate. I want Jean Grey to be kidnapped by the Hellfire Club. I want, you know, her to freak out and eat a son. I want them to go to battle with the Shi'ar. I want Jean to temporarily sacrifice herself until she comes back later on. Like, if they're doing the Phoenix Saga, actually do the fucking Phoenix Saga. But they should do that at the beginning. You know, don't wait until like 10 movies down the line to do it. Do it like second. And then get to all the stories that build off of that. But of course, we're not getting that this movie, probably. Instead, our antagonist is going to be Mr. Sinister. Finally, we're breaking away from Magneto and Trask, who I feel like that's the only X-Men villains we get, with the exception of Apocalypse at one time. And we're getting Mr. Sinister, played by Adam Driver. I know there had been the rumor that Adam Driver was going to be Magneto. No, this is way better. Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. I like that. We're getting Rogue, Indy Navarrete, the woman from Obsession. That's literally, I think, the only thing I know her, and I think that might be the only thing she's done. I know she had talked about wanting to be Mystique. No, she's going to be Rogue. I think she'll do fine as Rogue. I'm fine with that. I think that's decent casting. I do wonder who they're going to get to be her Gambit. Are they even going to do a Gambit? I don't know. We'll see. Who are they going to get to be her Mystique? Because, yeah, I know they had talked about that. And finally, Maya Bode as Storm. I have no idea who that is. I looked her up. It looks like she's done some Broadway stuff, like she was in Juliet, which I have not seen, but I'm actually going to go see later this year. And I've heard mixed things about In Juliet. But hey, you know what? I'm down. At least we got a Storm. I do wonder if she's going to be in Black Panther 3. Because one of the things is, so Black Panther and Storm have a relationship in the comic. Sure, they're divorced nowadays, but that's because of comics bullshit. When they were together, it was actually like really good. Like the one good part of the Civil War comic is their wedding. So the idea of seeing, you know, we've now got a young Storm and we've got, you know, T'Challa Jr., the new Black Panther. Hook them up. I want to see them get together. There's a part of me that's surprised she's in this movie, because I thought they were going to introduce her in Black Panther 3 and then she would go join the X-Men. But I do hope she's in both X-Men and in Black Panther 3. I do hope they do that, because again, I think they're cute. So that's our first thing with X-Men. We just got some casting. Our next thing is Vision Quest. So we got a new trailer for Vision Quest. It looks like the show, like Vision's living his like life, because, you know, he has all of his memories after the events of WandaVision, but he doesn't have any connection to them. So he's instead compartmentalizing those memories, and he's created like this house inside of his mind with these robot servants, and then Ultron is there as like his dad. They're leaning it more into like the WandaVision sitcom vibes. Billy, Tommy, whichever one wasn't in Agatha all along. It looks like he's back in Vision. Yep, Vision's a dad. The kids are real. I wonder if they're gonna do, it doesn't look like they're doing Viv. Because here's the thing, I wonder how much this show is adapting Tom King's Vision. Because that's another thing I'd be curious to see if Black Death is in this. I think his name was Black Death. You know, Wonder Man's brother. Because in the comics, Vision was originally created by mind scanning Wonder Man and then implanting that mind scan into the body of the original android Human Torch. And so I wonder if they're going to do any of that, because we now know that according to concept art, the original android Human Torch is also going to be in this Vision Quest show. Because we have seen the original android Human Torch in the MCU. If you go back and watch the Stark Expo and the World Fair in the first Captain America movie, you see like a guy inside of a tube. That's the original android Human Torch. They never did anything outside of that being a comic reference, because, you know, this is the early MCU and they were actually willing to do references that weren't setting up future movies. You know, that's how you get the Infinity Gauntlet in the first Thor movie. But no, it does look like we're going to get the original android Human Torch. He's definitely going to have like a new, you know, different origin. They're definitely doing something different with him. But hey, that's a cool reference. I'm down for the original android Human Torch. We get, you know, we get Ultron back, and he looks good in this. We both see, you know, robot, but also a human Ultron. I don't know. Vision Quest, I actually liked this trailer. I feel like it's got a lot of potential. The MC, I'm kind of over the era of MCU shows. There's a part of me that feels like they just had there are some good ones. Don't get me wrong. There are some really good ones. You know, WandaVision was fantastic. I'm one of the people who liked She-Hulk. Wonder Man is great. But also, you know, people only seem to care about the movie. I kind of wish they had done like separate continuity things. They both kind of like, you know how the Netflix shows were originally pitched as like, hey, these shows exist within the MCU, but they're on like the Defenders are not going to cross over with the Avengers. They're both stories happening in the same universe, but like they're kind of like their own universe within that universe, right? I kind of wish that shows did the same thing, so that way people who don't watch the shows feel less risk because they're missing out stuff for the movies. It's to be fair, it's never actually mattered outside of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Nothing from the shows has really been brought up in the movies. And then I legitimately think you can watch the fourth Captain America without seeing Falcon and the Winter Soldier and be fine. You can definitely watch Multiverse of Madness without seeing WandaVision, because the people who created Multiverse of Madness did not watch WandaVision. Yeah, I think Vision Quest looked good. Comes out in October. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm actually interested. And to be fair, yeah, Marvel's been, you know, doing pretty well. The movies have been good. The Wonder Man was great. So yeah, Marvel's out on the outs, right, on the in right now. And we got some new footage for Avengers Doomsday. The new footage, the new first look, was literally just the Comic-Con footage. If you saw some of the, not the Comic-Con trailer, but there was footage shown behind closed doors at Comic-Con that actually ended up leaking. It's the exact same trailer. So, you know, people who were at Comic-Con just saw this trailer 2 months early. It still looks fine. You know, all my concerns about Avengers Doomsday are still there. I don't know, there's been a rumor that the movie's going to open up with the X-Men killing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, which I don't know how to feel about that. You know, that might happen. There's that whole teaser at the end of Brand New Day. But I'm a little concerned. But no, I think the Doom footage looks fine. I honestly can't even tell it's Robert Downey Jr. You know, if I didn't know it was, I wouldn't be able to guess. It doesn't sound like him. I don't even really think it looks like him, like, because we see like the eyes and whatnot. But I don't know, I'll see Doomsday, like I've said, but I'm seeing Dune first, because Dune has more of my goodwill. All right, let's talk about Pixar. So we got new information about The Incredibles 3. Comes out in 2028, so it's still a ways away. It's going to take place directly after Incredibles 2. So, you know, there's kind of a time skip between 2 and 3. You know, the first movie ends with the Underminer. The second movie opens with the Underminer, but then after that we jump forward a little bit. This movie also seems, you know, we're gonna jump in right after superhero heroics is now legal again, and so the kids are going to be the main character. Violet, Dash, and Jack are gonna, you know, the first movie was all about Bob, the second movie was about Helen, this movie is going to be about Violet and Dash, and they're basically sneaking out at night to try to protect the city, you know, doing their super heroics. This is all going to be about them and their identities. I know some people, myself included, actually wanted a time skip. Like, I would love to see, like, you know, college age Dash being a superhero, slightly older Violet. That would have been cool, but whatever. Here's the thing, the first Incredibles movie is so strong that even though the second one had plenty of issues, I'm still invested enough that I'll see a third one. Bob, meanwhile, his plot is going to be about dealing with irrelevancy, that, you know, he's an old school hero. Nobody cares about these old heroes. They want the new, the hip, and the young. And so it looks like he's going to be dealing with that, and there's going to be like a new superhero team. That's presumably the B plot. And then we see the villain. Who the villain is, right, will show that not all heroes are good. We got a little like teaser of what they look like. It's literally just like a guy with like, he's got like a V on his neck, a giant V hood. He's like a dome guy. He looks like fucking Man Ray, but without the horns. I don't know. If they're doing like the Punisher, I think that'd be an interesting villain in the Incredible universe. Like someone who is a hero, quote unquote, but they're like willing to kill. I don't know if, you know, this is a kids movie at the end of the day, so I don't know if they'd go that far, but I think conceptually that is interesting. Yeah, like that, you know, because the previous two Incredibles had superheroes being illegal. So now that they're legal again, you know, are we going to do Kingdom Come? Are the Incredibles going to do their equivalent of DC's Kingdom Come? Because that'd be interesting. I don't know if that's entirely the right choice to do, especially after the previous two movies, but I'd be interested to see it. We got concept art for Coco 2, which we've known is in development. I don't think we need a Coco 2. Like, kind of like Incredibles 2, I see the potential. I saw the potential for Incredibles 2. I see the potential for Incredibles 3. I do not see the potential for Coco 2. I don't know what we're doing. It looks like Miguel's going to be a little older. He's a teenager now. You know, I think that's fine. But I don't think we need Coco 2. But we're getting it anyways. So yeah, out of all the Coco stuff, this is, between the two announcements, the less interesting one. We'll get to the other one in a bit. We got a new Pixar film called Ghost Market. So this is a supernatural thriller that follows a young boy who enters a hidden market that happens to be the crossroads of the living and the dead. So it's Pixar's Spirited Away, but for the living and the dead. This is what, you know, Coco 2 here. Okay. I don't know. We got like a little like preview thing of it. Comes out again, I think 2028. It's still a ways away, but I'm fine with that. Was it 2028? It might be 2027. I'd have to look. But you know, I'm down for Pixar original films. Hoppers this year was great. Because here's the thing, in theory, how it should work, or how it, you know, not that it should work, but how it's going to work, is that for every big, you know, Pixar rehash, like sequel, we get something new. So, you know, we get a Toy Story 5, and then we get a Hoppers. We get an Incredibles 3, and then we get a Ghost Market, which is spring 2028. So yeah, I get that. We got more footage of Gato, right? The film takes place in Venice, mafia inspired. It's about a cat who is shunned because of local superstition. It's hand-drawn Pixar. I think it looks good. I don't know. I'm invested. And yeah, that's the Pixar stuff. The Disney stuff. Speaking of hand-drawn animation, we're not getting a hand-drawn animated thing from Disney. At least not a movie, but we are getting a show. So they're doing a Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, you know, the prior Mickey Mouse, Disney's Epic Mickey, you know. I used to love that game. I know it's not actually good, but you know, I enjoyed it. And so this is going to be hand-drawn 2D animation. That's really exciting. It looks like it's going to be Roger Rabbit style, so it's cartoon characters existing in the real world. I don't know. I know they were filming at Disneyland the other week. Or, you know, this was probably like 6 months ago now for this show. But yeah, doing some Roger Rabbit, doing some hand-drawn animation. Yeah, I'm down. Hand-drawn animation is so sorely missed nowadays. The more we see of it, the better. I know digital hand-drawn animation. I'm fine with that. You know, anything to keep the art form alive. Something that is not 2D animated, the Bluey movie. So we got our first little teaser for the Bluey movie. Comes out August of 2027, and it will be 3D animated. I think it looks fine. It's not as good as it could be, but I think it looks cute enough. You know, we got a little teaser that shows off 3D Bluey and Bingo. I don't know what it reminds. I guess it reminds me of like a Pixar thing. We see in the little teaser they're playing the, you know, Keepy Uppy with the red balloon. I've seen Bluey. I fucking love Bluey. I get why people do it, even though I don't have kids. And yeah, a Bluey movie because fuck it, why not? We got some stuff for the Tangled show, the Tangled live action movie. We don't need a Tangled live action movie, but so far, because they're currently filming this as we speak, you know, you've got Catherine Hahn as Mother Gothel. I don't remember who's playing Rapunzel or Flynn. I guess there was a rumor that, or there was a story this week that came out that Zachary Levi, who plays Finn in the movie, in the original animated, tried to like sneak on set, which, yeah, nobody wants to work with Zachary Levi. He's a fucking asshole, allegedly. But no, everything we're seeing from the Tangled show, it looks fine. However, this is still a Disney live action remake. I don't trust it. I know there's been more time between like Tangled and Moana, but I still don't. Disney, there have been like 3 good live action Disney movies, and they were like the first 3 they made. And ever since then, they've all sucked. Like Cinderella was good. The Jungle Book was good, and that was it. Every other one has been at best inoffensive and at worst fucking awful. So no, I'm like, on one hand, like, yeah, seeing the costume and the set design, everything with Tangled live action looks good. but we also just don't need this. Lilo and Stitch 2, obviously the Lilo and Stitch movie from last year made like $1 billion. They immediately greenlit a second one, and they're not doing Lilo and Stitch 2 because, you know, there was a second Lilo and Stitch movie that was, you know, Stitch has a glitch. Instead, they're gonna not be doing something from like the animated show or Stitch the movie, but instead our teaser is Angel. So if you don't know, Angel is experiment like 624 or something like that. She's like the pink Stitch. She's Stitch's girlfriend. She's a siren. She can hypnotize you with her voice. I was a huge fan of the Lilo and Stitch show growing up. The Lilo and Stitch show was basically just Pokemon. You know, they'd go around Hawaii, they'd meet the new experiments, they'd, you know, fight, solve their problems, fight against them, whatever it was basically just Pokemon, and I fucking loved it. Nowadays, you know, it's one of those things kind of like the Pokemon anime, where as an adult, you just cannot watch it because it's so fucking cringe. But as a kid, that was the best shit ever. I know the Lilo and Stitch live action movie did kind of suck. It has its bad moments. I still do not think the ending is as bad as everyone says it is. It's not great, but I think people way blow it out of proportion. But the fact that we're getting a second one shows that, hey, this isn't as bad as you all made it seem. And they are definitely going to address that in the second one, with Nani going off to college. But no, I think Angel, that's a cool addition. You know, maybe they'll bring back the electric guy. Maybe they didn't have Gontu in the original. Give us fucking Gontu. People love Gontu. Give us Ruben as well. People love those characters. Fucking get Rob Paulson back. He's still working in the industry. He'll do it. He's still great at everything he does. You know, give Ash Paulson's dad some work. Oh, speaking of Ash Paulson, kind of tangentially related, Brawl in the Family, doing a Mega Man book. If you have any interest in either Brawl in the Family or Mega Man, they're doing a book over on the Kickstarter page is live right now. Go check it out. I supported it because, yeah, I like Brawl in the Family, and who doesn't love some Mega Man? Next up, The Princess Diary 3. They brought, you know, Anne Hathaway's currently on a roll. She's in The Odyssey. She's in The End of Oak Street, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I know she did something. Oh, Devil Wears Prada 2. And hey, guess what? They're doing a Princess Diaries 3. People really like the Princess Diaries. And you know how I do those like random summer movies where I'm like, hey, let's watch this shitty Disney Channel original movie. You know, like we watched the Zombies movies last year. At some point, we're going to have to do that with the Princess Diaries. I'm just curious more than anything. I know Stan Lee is in the second one, which is, I know it's just a cameo, but that's so fucking random. I don't know. At some point, I'm going to have to watch those. Of course, Julie Andrews, who plays the queen in the original Princess Diaries, she has retired from acting, so she will definitely not be in it. But hey, you know, a third one makes sense. They're based on books, they're popular. Giving us a time skip, that sounds good. We got some stuff with Percy Jackson, season 3. We got our first trailer for season 3. I think it looks fantastic. They're doing the Titan's Curse, which is, in my opinion, the best book. And yeah, everything we've seen so far looks great. I'm very excited. I do very much worry that this is going to be the last season, because it looks like viewership-wise, the second season only got a small fraction that the first season did. The second season was good. To be fair, they were adapting the worst book, at least from the original 5. But still, I want this show to succeed. I think the trailer looks great. I'm very excited. I know people are mad that they don't one-for-one adapt the books. It's a lot better than the other movies. And again, this is a great book, and everything we're seeing here looks great. So I am very excited. We'll see how it actually goes, though. All right, and then the final thing I had originally written down was Kingdom Hearts 3. There is going to be a Kingdom Hearts panel at some point this weekend, but during this big thing, we did get our first teaser for Kingdom Hearts 3. We got a new poster, and we found out that one of the worlds is going to be Coco. I think Coco is actually a great choice for Kingdom Hearts. It's very inspired. It's very colorful, you know, a lot of unique designs, working with Miguel, getting a Keyblade guitar. I think that's going to be cool. I think the idea of a Coco world is actually a great one. I know a lot of people really want Marvel and Star Wars worlds. I don't know. We did get a Pirates of the Caribbean. Anything is possible. But yeah, I think all the Kingdom Hearts stuff looks good. So that's our one piece of video games. Let's see, what else was announced? Let me update this page. A Greatest Showman stage musical. The Greatest Showman, like, as like a thing about P.T. Barnum, it's super fucking inaccurate. It's bullshit. P.T. Barnum was a terrible person. However, the songs in The Greatest Showman are very catchy. That opening song, I find myself thinking about all the time. The Other Side song is also very good. So yes, I do like the music of The Greatest Showman, even if P.T. Barnum was a horrible person, and this is like redeeming his image. Let's see what else. There's some Vision Quest stuff, some Doomsday stuff. We already talked about all that. Oh, we got to look at Ahsoka season 2, yeah, we got to look at Ahsoka, and it looks like they're bringing back Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. So we're going to get Anakin's Force Ghost. That's cool. I guess we did get an official trailer. I'm not going to watch it now, but we did get that. We got Zootopia 3, which we all knew was coming. Zootopia 2 was a really good movie. It did extremely well. The third Zootopia is going to be about birds. The arrival of birds into Zootopia. A new concept art for a movie called Clay, which is a new original Walt Disney animation film. Starring Kieran Culkin, it follows a terrible mentor who must look after a new ball of clay. And we got this really colorful piece of art. I actually think it looks fine. Of course, will the final movie look like that? Who knows? It kind of reminds me of like a Dr. Seuss thing if I'm just looking at this concept art. We got a video of Adam Driver introducing himself as Mr. Sinister. Oh my god. Okay, we got Frozen 3, and they're giving Olaf a girlfriend. They're giving Olaf a girlfriend. It's a snowman. She's got like long stick hair. She's got a little dress. Oh, I guess we have a teaser for an Olaf love song. And then Frozen 3 will follow Elsa and Anna facing off against an evil ice queen after she disturbs Anna's wedding. God, are they gonna... So if you've ever seen the concept art for Frozen, originally Elsa was gonna be this like evil ice queen, and then they wrote the song Let It Go, and we're like, no, we can't make her evil anymore. Are they just gonna now introduce a new evil ice character? And yeah, I think that's it. That's the last... I'm pulling all this stuff from Discussing Film over on Twitter, and that is the last thing they tweeted about 30 minutes ago. But yeah, it looks like that's all the new information we got. But hey, that's interesting. I like Frozen. What can I say? I'm extremely biased towards that movie. I like it. I didn't like the second one, but I also have to admit that I do need to rewatch it. Because, you know, I've heard that once you know what you're in for, you actually enjoy it a lot more the second time. At least that's what people who have kids have told me. I don't know. But yeah, there's D23. A lot of stuff there. Some of it I am interested in, of course. Some of it I could care less about. But hey, you know, this is Disney doing their annual big thing. Biannual, triannual. Again, they only do this every few years. Yeah. So let's talk some WIBE stuff, shall we? So I only got two things. I got a food thing, and then I did see that new movie, The End of Oak Street. So I want to talk about that. I don't think I have too much to say on it, but I at least do want to talk about it a little bit. So we'll do both of those, and then that's it. Again, at most we'll go for like another half hour at most. I don't know, so far our luck has not been great per se. I don't know, ever since last, because it's been almost a year since we've done a shiny hunt, and after last time I'm always just a little bit worried, like, am I missing something? I know shiny Psyduck is a very prominent blue color, so I'm probably not, but I'm always just a little worried. Like, rightfully so. All right, let's talk about Taco Bell. So Taco Bell is doing a collab with Tajin. Tajin, if you don't know, it's like a salty lime spice. You know, if you're a white person like I kind of am, right? Tajin, it's not, it can be spicy, but for the most part, when I think of Tajin, I think of having it with like watermelon or mango. You know, it's something that you put on like something very sweet to add a nice hint of citrus to it. It has some spice to it, but yeah, I'm not a big Tajin guy. I legitimately could not tell you the last time I'd actively had it, but it's still, especially around these parts, it's very popular. It's just not really a me thing. Hit my chair. I need to like get my chair to like not raise up, but like the seat's like slanted, so I feel like I'm constantly like sliding off of it. I don't even want to get a new chair really. I just need a, I don't know what I need. All right, so Taco Bell announced a Tajin collab. This was announced a while ago. We've known about this collab for a while. They did it in test markets. People really liked it in the test markets. I remember it being very popular in those. And so finally it launched nationwide this week. Actually, earlier in the week, they re-released the Quesarito. They did it as a one-day early thing. I did actually go and get one. It was $1. I actually don't like the Quesarito that much. I tried the Quesarito. I remember really liking it, and it just wasn't that good. I definitely feel like you need to add like the Frito, like the red Fritos they use into it. Just some sort of crunch. I don't know. I think the grilled cheese burrito is better. I know that's a hot take, but yeah. Now, this Tajin stuff, on the other hand, they got 3 items. A Tajin taco, a Tajin cheesy gordita crunch, and then a Tajin pineapple strawberry freeze, which I don't think I've had Tajin and pineapple. I'm sure it's fine. Like that's a combination that I think makes sense. But outside of this, I tried all 3 of these items. I'll be honest, I did not go in expecting. I'm not a big Tajin guy. I did not have high expectations. I had heard it was good, but I didn't think much of it other than that. I'm here to tell you, this is great. Genuinely, Taco Bell knocked it out of the park with this Tajin collab. If you're at all interested, it's not that spicy. So if you're one of those people who, you know, find ketchup spicy, I didn't find this spicy at all. The Tajin really just adds a nice hint of lime to it, and I thought that was really good. So the Tajin taco, I think, is the best one. I like the taco better than the gordita. The taco is a crunchy shell that has Tajin seasoning mixed into the shell. It's got a ranch sauce. I thought it was just sour cream. Honestly, when I had it, it just tasted like sour cream. They might have just used sour cream, but it's supposed to be a ranch sauce. I think it tastes great. I honestly think the Tajin balanced out with the basicness of the ranch sour cream sauce. Tastes fantastic together. They blend really well together. That's like, they complement each other so well. That's what makes this work so well, is you have the the lemon lime citrus of the tahini. It's technically lime. And then the ranch sauce combined with all the normal taco stuff. So it's got lettuce on it, it's got shredded cheese, and then it's got a mango salsa, which, yeah, obviously tahini and mango, that makes sense. That's a pretty standard combination. And then it comes with, so it's got tahini baked into the shell, but then it also comes with a little packet of tahini that you can put on top of the taco. Now, if I think anything, like when Jack in the Box did their Hot Ones collaboration, and they're like, oh yeah, you want to make this thing spicy? We'll sell you a little packet of the Apollo sauce. And that fucked me up. Like, I could not handle it. With this, I was worried, like, oh, is the packet of tahini going to be too much? No, it's the perfect amount, because it allows you to put how much you want on it. So I used about half of the little packet they give you, and it was the perfect amount. It was just enough to add that slight little bit of citrus, but not too much that it overpowered everything. The tahini taco at Taco Bell is genuinely fantastic. It is so much better than it has any right to be. And I'm so glad that, you know, because last week when we talked about Wendy's, I was like, oh yeah, Wendy's is so great. And now it's back to the fucking shit show. Nope. We got lucky this week, and Taco Bell also knocked it out of the park. Maybe I just got lucky, but hey, I got lucky twice in a row. I'm not gonna complain. I'm really happy I did, because this was great. So what about the gordita? So I admittedly am not a gordita fan. There are two types of people in this world. Those who like gorditas and those who like chalupa. Of course, there's also those assholes who like neither. But everybody has a preference. For me, my preference is always the chalupa. I like the chalupa better. I like the chalupa shell more than I do the flatbread that comes with the gordita. But they're only doing a gordita, so I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And yeah, I still don't really care for the gordita. I know it comes with like a flatbread that's got mozzarella, pepper jack, and cheddar, but I mostly just taste like an uncooked flatbread. Like if it was toasted, like if they like slammed this into like one of the toasters they use for like the grilled cheese burritos and whatnot, I think this would taste better. But what you're gonna do? So the tahini cheesy gordita crunch, it's basically everything that was on the other one. The only difference is obviously the gordita shell. And then for the ranch sauce, it uses a spicy ranch instead of a normal ranch. That's it. That's the only difference. And yeah, I think it's fine, but I don't really care for the gordita. So I think the normal crunchy taco is just way better. There's no soft taco version or anything like that. I'm sure you could probably get like a tahini packet to put on anything you want. But for what this is, no, I'd recommend the normal taco. I think price-wise, it's like $3, which is a little on the higher side, but not like super on the higher side. I bet the gordita adds probably like $2 to that. Let's get the taco. And finally, the tahini pineapple strawberry freeze. I'll be honest, I had no idea there was strawberry in this. Like you see, like you look at it and it's like a yellow thing with like little specks of red in it. I thought the specks of red were just the tahini. I didn't realize there was also, so it's a pineapple like freeze, and then they add a strawberry syrup on top of it, and then they put tahini. And yeah, it tastes fine. Again, the tahini is not spicy. It just adds a bit of citrus to complement the sweet flavor. But overall, tastes pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to like get it again, but also I wouldn't do that. Like, it was fine. I wish those freeze, like, I wish I could get like a large, like a big large one. But because those freezes, like, whenever you get a freeze at like Taco Bell or something, it's always like you go home, you get it, and then by the time you get home, it's already lost like a third of its volume by just melting, especially when it's like 98 degrees outside. But no, it is good. I did enjoy it. Taco Bell did a really good job this week. If you've got a chance to go to Taco Bell, you know, if you're just like, oh, well, I don't know what I want to eat, I'll go try Taco Bell. This is more than worth it. This was good enough that I would definitely go out of my way and recommend this tahini taco. Taco Bell did a great job. I may have been disappointed with the grilled cheese burrito, which was a one-day only thing, but the tahini is really great. And yeah, that's our one bit of food news. There is other stuff coming. We got some stuff. I think Whataburger's got some stuff next week. I know I don't go to Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A is bringing their chicken and waffle sandwich out. So, we'll see. I don't know. See, here's the thing. I don't spend my money at Chick-fil-A, but if my roommates are going to Chick-fil-A, I'll get something. So, we'll see. Because, I don't know. It's one of those things. But yeah, no, we got some good food stuff coming out, because I've heard great things about that Chick-fil-A chicken and waffle sandwich. But yeah, I think that's it for food stuff. So, the one movie I watched this week was The End of Oak Street. It was a movie I was admittedly a little on the fence about seeing. You know, I know it's the director of It Follows, which is a movie I have not seen, but I've heard really good things about. So that's a positive. A negative, on the other hand, is that it's being produced by J.J. Abrams. And I don't really like J.J. Abrams. I feel like everything he's either directed or produced in the past few years has been terrible. You know, I didn't care for all the Cloverfield sequels that he kept making. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is, while not the worst movie ever made, far from it. It killed Star Wars for me. So it will always be on the bottom of the shit list. Just for that reason alone. So I was admittedly worried going into this movie. It was like, oh God, is this going to be another Cloverfield thing? Like, are we going to find a way to make another unconnected movie tie into Cloverfield? I'll tell you right now, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. But no, the whole reason I ended up seeing this was because it was getting good reviews. I think it's sitting at like an 86. That's pretty decent. And then more importantly, it is blessedly short. I want to say End of Oak Street is shorter than Toy Story 5. You know, usually animated movies cap out at like an hour and a half, an hour 40. I think Toy Story 5 is like an hour 42. This is an hour 40 on the dot. That is blessedly short. And I know people like longer movies, you know, I know they want to get their money's worth. But I don't always have as much time in the world as I'd want. So an hour 40-minute movie, in and out real quick, yeah, I could make that work. And yeah, overall, I'd say it's about an 8. I do have some issues with it, specifically the ending. Not the ending itself, but like the pacing of the ending. But other than that, I think the movie is very solid. I like the plot. You know, this is a classic dinosaur movie. Hey, how do humans survive against dinosaurs? Which is always fun. You know, it's one of those classic stories, you know, be that Jurassic Park, A Sound of Thunder, even though A Sound of Thunder is not really about the actual dinosaurs itself. You know, it's a good classic story that people like. The actors in it, Anne Hathaway has been on a kill this year. Devil Wears Prada, The Odyssey, she's been doing great. And then Ewan McGregor, I also really like. I know he's not always in the biggest things, but I'm a big fan of his work. I will always defend Harley Quinn as one of his, you know, underrated performances as Black Mask. And yeah, I think he does a good job in this. It's nothing outstanding, but I think him and Anne Hathaway contradict each other very well. The kids are fine. The son's a little dumb and a little annoying, but, you know, he's a kid. I get it. The daughter, I think, does a much better job. I'm much more invested in her and dealing with every problem in her life. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. The special effects are fine. You know, we get some feathered dinosaurs. It's not... I wouldn't say the dinosaurs are that scary. Like, there are definitely some tense moments where it's like, oh shit, oh shit. But there's also some funny ones as well. There's a moment in this movie that got maybe the biggest audience laugh out of me this year. Like when it happened, and you'll know it when you see it, the entire audience just burst into laughter. Yeah, it was one of the biggest laughs of the year. So they did good on that front. Yeah, I didn't find it scary. Like, yeah, there's some jump scares, but if you're worried about that, don't be. To be fair, as I was surprised to learn, I did not find the backrooms that scary at all. And I wasn't alone in that, obviously, but like, as a person who doesn't really like horror, talking to other people who don't like horror, I was like the only one who actually didn't mind the backrooms. And then Obsession is also same thing. I didn't really find Obsession is more terrifying on the implication, which is why it's really good. Like, the implication is way more interesting. Yeah, this was not scary at all. I wouldn't say it's like action-packed. Like, this isn't people roaming down the streets, you know, hunting dinosaurs. This isn't like what the Jurassic Parks have been turned into, where it's, you know, let's go to this island and we have to go collect the dinosaur DNA. No, this is just people. This is a survival thriller that is, I'm not going to say low stakes, but it's not like the most extreme mood. I really enjoyed it. I hate all the AI stuff that's been used in the advertising. Because if you didn't see, they made like this AI podcast for the movie that was like the dogs within the movie talking about the movie. And that fucking sucks. Like, this movie did not need that AI connection. I don't think they used AI anywhere else. Right? This isn't like some of the stuff behind the scenes stuff we've been getting some from Supergirl this week, which that fucking sucks as well. But no, this was all just pretty good, pretty solid. It's got some good moments. It's got some good characters. Nothing outstanding or anything, but I think it was pretty solid. So, talking about spoilers, my big thing is the ending. So, near the end of the movie, at one point, the parents find out that the portals that, you know, are taking people and stuff back in time, they find one inside of a house. And it's like, oh, we can use this portal to get back to the future. So they're going around looking for one. The kids, because the kid has a dog, and like early on when they first go back in time, the dog disappears. And the father keeps telling the son, oh, I'm sure the dog is fine. He's, you know, he's a smart dog. He'll be fine. Of course, we, the audience, know what's actually probably happened. I will tell you though, again, full spoilers, the dog does not die. The dog not only survives, but he makes it back. So the dog is all good. If you're one of those people who worries about the dog dying, don't worry. He definitely takes a lick or two, but he does not die. No, instead, at one point, the kid sees the dog being chased by a dinosaur. So he sneaks out. The daughter sneaks out after him because the parents are having their divorce argument. Because Anne Hathaway's character is a writer, and she's written a whole book that is basically her plans to run away from her wife and kid, or from her husband and her kid. Because the big difference between Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor in this movie is she is a realist and he is an optimist. You know, he's sure that everything will work out, whereas she doesn't want to lie to her kids and is fully aware that they might be stuck in the past forever. And so we get that, you know, contradiction between the two. But then after they find out the kids are missing, they start working together. We get some good action pieces. They end up lighting the neighborhood on fire while fleeing from a Spinosaurus. Hey, which, guess what? Despite paleontologists? Yeah, despite paleontologists trying to nerf and ruin the Spinosaurus, this movie actually made the Spinosaurus cool again. It only gets a single action scene and then it kind of fuck offs. But in that one moment, I actually thought it was pretty cool. Because I like the Spinosaurus. I know people are mad about it after Jurassic Park 3, I still think the Spinosaurus is cool. Fucking sue me. And so eventually the parents and the kids get reunited. The kids find a girl who has been stuck out here. Her parents are dead. And then as they're trying to figure out what to do, how to get home, they get encountered with a T-Rex. The T-Rex chases them down. They shoot it multiple times. It doesn't die. There's a part of me that thinks that if you did take guns back in time, you would absolutely fucking dominate. Like, you know that show Gate? Which I know Gate is just military propaganda, but it's the idea of like, hey, if you take modern day weapons and bring them back into a fantasy world, the modern day weapons are going to win every time. I have the same feeling with dinosaurs. Like, if you take modern weapons back in time, the modern weapons are going to win every time. Like, I understand movie, they only have one gun, they only have a few bullets, I get it, but still. But you do get this T-Rex moment. Everything to do with this is great. It chases them down the street. They have to distract it multiple times. Anne Hathaway shoots it. Ewan McGregor takes a sledgehammer and fucking hits it in the face and it crumples to the ground. Really fucking cool. And then it fucking eats Ewan McGregor. Like, at first it bites off his leg and I was like, ah, shit. Well, you know, he can recover. Sure, losing a leg sucks, but you can survive that. And then afterwards it bites him in half. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because somebody had to die. I thought it was going to be the kid. Like, they meet this one girl who... The movie takes... It doesn't say until the very end, but it takes place in 1982. Was I the only one who got a vibe between the sister and the girl? Like, there's definitely something there. Like, it's clear that the brother has a crush on the girl, but I'm pretty sure the sister and the girl have something there. I can't be the only one who saw that. But they eventually, afterwards, they make it home. Anne Hathaway yells at the son. I was really worried they were going to do a whole thing where the son, like, tries to sacrifice himself because he blames himself for the dad dying. Which, I mean, if he didn't run away, they wouldn't have, but then something else would have gotten them. I don't know. They don't do that, so I'm not really worried about it. We get a really tense moment afterwards because they're packing up to try to go find one of these portals. And as they are, a snake, there's this giant snake that crawls in the window, and just watching it slowly work its way through the house. And Anne Hathaway, as it's like attacking the son, goes fucking crazy on it and just keeps stabbing it. That was some good tension right there. Again, wasn't scary, but it was good tension. So after that, they leave, they go and find that the house on the top of the hill has one of the portals. They make their way up there. The house is infested with like ancient crocodiles. And the woman who lives there, who's the librarian, which there's a really dumb moment early on where this is not like one portal. They keep talking about how portals keep opening up, and like there's a plant from the past. There's some dinosaur shit. And she shows the picture of the plant, and the librarian's like, oh, well, I don't recognize it, but it looks like this 200 million year old plant. It's a really awkward piece of exposition early on in the movie that like wasn't necessary. Or if they had just extended the scene by like 30 seconds of just like her pulling out a book and being like, hey, it kind of looks like this from this like ancient like plant book, I would have been okay with that. But just the way she says it is just weird. But yeah, they get to her house. They get up onto the roof where the portal is. The other girl jumps in, and then the son goes to jump in, but the portal like temporarily closes on him, and he ends up falling off the roof and breaks his leg. From there, they get attacked by dinosaurs. There's pterodactyls, or, you know, whatever the Quetzalcoatlus is. And then there are the alligators inside the house. The librarian ends up sacrificing herself to save all of them. They get up to the roof, and then they jump in the portal, sending them back to the future. It doesn't take them back to the direct future, but takes them back about 30 minutes before the portal opened and traveled them back in time. And it's like, okay, well, we have to evacuate, but you know, how do you evacuate an entire, you know, part of town in 30 minutes? So instead they do the best to save the people they can. The girl is also there. She runs off to save her family. And then Anne Hathaway makes a few phone calls. And she just tells the kids, like, trust me. And then you see the fucking pizza delivery car roll up. Because we found out early on that the dad has lost his job. And he's having to work, like, part-time gigs, doing, like, pizza delivery. And he got home when the portal opened up to send them back in time, the wormhole. So him showing up in the pizza delivery truck, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So now they have the dad back. And then the portal still opens at 11:05 and sends that entire part of town back in time. And then it brings back that part of the past into the present. So now there are, you know, a few small dinosaurs running around in the present day, but hey, the dad's alive again. So we do get a happy ending. I like that happy ending. My problem is how we get there. Like, everything with the T-Rex, I think is really good. But then from the moment the dad dies to them getting to the portal, that is the climax of the movie, but it really doesn't feel like a climax. It's very short, it's very quick. I wasn't super impressed with it. Shiny side up. Yeah, I feel like there was like one big threat missing at the end. I wish there was just like a little bit more tension. It still has its tense moments for sure. And I'm glad that every dinosaur in this movie wasn't just a T-Rex or velociraptors. You know, we see dinosaur turtles. We see whatever the stegosaurus type things are. We see triceratops. Do we see a triceratops? I don't know. I don't know the actual like accuracy of the dinosaurs, because I know a lot of different dinosaurs like lived like millions of years apart. I'm assuming it's fine. But yeah, I just feel like there's one thing missing from the climax. Maybe that, or it just goes too quick. I do maybe feel like if the climax, if they had just had a little bit more time to flesh things out, like maybe if they didn't immediately find the portal after leaving the house, I would have been fine. But the fact that they basically turn around and hey, we can see it up there on the hill. I wish there had been a little bit more tension. Again, I'm glad the movie is short. That is a good thing. But yeah, the pacing suffers a little at the end. So immediately after this, I took my parents to go see this, by the way. And my father was like, how does the time travel work in this? Because now, you know, now that the father no longer went back to the past, how did they then come back to the future? You know, he took this as like Back to the Future time travel rules, where, you know, in order for the present to happen, the stuff in the past, you know, you have to make sure the past happens to make sure the present happens. Whereas my interpretation of the ending, because, you know, Ewan McGregor is still alive, even though he died in the past. And they're able to save some of the people. Like, you know, there's the librarian. There's an old lady that's editing Anne Hathaway's book. There's the mean... Did I say the next door neighbor? Yeah, they have an asshole next door neighbor who goes crazy and gets eaten by, you know, pterodactyls. Yeah, they save him because even though he was an asshole, you know, they're one of the people they know. And then they save... the girl saves her family, but now there's two of her. There's a scene at the end where we see like the two families having a barbecue, and there are two of the daughter. And, you know, I know time paradox is, oh, two instances of the same person can't exist at the same time. I choose to take this as like Bobaverse rules, where because of the events of the past, he is now a different person, and as a result, they can both exist. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But how I think this works is that they basically created a new time. Is that when Anne Hathaway and the kids go back to, you know, right before, you know, it's like 10:45, right before the thing happens, because they, you know, their interventions, they've now created a separate timeline. So now on this new timeline, you know, they still, the original Anne Hathaway, or at least a version, the second version of Anne Hathaway and the kids, they still went back in time. They just went back in time without the dad. So in theory, you know, there's a separate version of them that if they make a sequel, hey, it could be them coming back and then trying to kill them or some shit like that. I don't know. This doesn't need a sequel, but yeah, like imagine like an older Anne Hathaway and like an older daughter killing the new ones, because there is a time skip at the end of the movie where it's like 2 years later, you know, the government has taken care of the dinosaurs. It sounds like other anomalies are happening, and then Anne Hathaway's character has written down what happened, and she wrote a book called The End of Oak Street. And that's kind of where the movie ends, you know, on a happy note. Ewan McGregor's alive, the families are all saved, at least some of them. There are still plenty of people who go back into the past. There are plenty of people who are killed, but it ends on a more or less happy note. No Cloverfield shit. Another thing I'm really glad this movie didn't do is human conflicts. Like at one point early on in the movie, the son is in trouble for breaking a kid's arm. And when they're back in the past, they run into that kid and his older brother, and the older brother tries to kill the son. And the kid who had his arm broken is like, no, stop, that doesn't matter anymore. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. None of that shit matters anymore. And I'm really glad this movie avoids that trope of like, what if humans are the real monster? Like, yeah, we see a few humans in the past, but no, in general, humans are not the real monsters. The real monsters are the fucking dinosaurs running around. And I'm really glad they just avoid, because that's a trope I'm fucking sick of. I never want to see the trope of what if humans are the real monsters ever again. I blame Cormac McCarthy, and I blame The Last of Us. Also The Walking Dead. Mostly zombie shit. I'm sick of zombie shit. Give me more stuff like Warm Bodies. I'm so bored of generic zombies. Oh gosh, I found out, speaking of Nicholas Hoult, I guess he's in the Harry Potter reboot. Ah, that broke my fucking heart, man. Really? I'm so excited for you as Lex Luthor. You're in fucking J.J. Rowling's Harry Potter reboot. Ah, fuck, man. That's a side tangent. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed the movie. I had a good time with it. It's not as exemplary as some of the other stuff we've seen this year. You know, I would definitely go see Spider-Man first. But if you're already seen Spider-Man and you're looking for something else, The End of Oak Street is also a pretty good choice. It is a pretty solid movie. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. All right, any miscellaneous stuff I have, because in theory, I'd like to find one more Psyduck, but also I don't think we'll go another like more than 10 minutes. Something I do want to say. So as you know, I'm a fan of Kinda Funny, always have been. I was listening to the Kinda Funny podcast today, and it was Tim and Mike got to preview the new Fire Emblem. And I was listening to him talk about the new Fire Emblem. Holy shit. I really want to play that game now. Because in theory, I really like Fire Emblem. On paper, Fire Emblem really appeals to me. The problem is, I've never really been able to get into one. Like, yeah, I played Awakening, I started Three Houses, but I've never really been able to fully sink my teeth into one. I also started Fates as well. I've never enjoyed Fire Emblem as much as I want to. I know part of it was a permadeath thing. You know how like some people really hate weapon degradation, or, you know, they don't like roguelikes or stuff like that. You know, people have their tropes that they don't like. For me, a video game trope I do not like is permadeath. I do not find permadeath fun. It's the one thing that stopped me from liking XCOM. Everything else in XCOM I really enjoyed, but the permadeath just killed me. That's why I like the Mario plus Rabbids games, because they're strategy RPGs that don't do permadeath, and I appreciate that. And while I know Fire Emblem has options to not turn on permadeath, I know you do get judged for using those, which fuck those people, by the way. If you're someone who judges somebody else for turning off permadeath in Fire Emblem, you're the problem. Not them, you are. recheck yourself. But no, listening to Mike talk about Fire Emblem, it seems so interesting. It seems to be fixing some of the problems with Three Houses. It's still got all the good character stuff from Three Houses, but they're improving the gameplay. They're allowing you to switch which things you're doing. So like in Three Houses, I guess, once you do a run, you have to pick which of the 3 houses you're going to join. And then that determines how the story plays out. And if you want to do a different route, you then have to restart the game. And this one, at any point, you can go up to this bird statue and just be like, nope, I want to try out a different character. I want to see what their story is about. And I like that. I like that shit a lot. I wonder how many endings the game's going to have, because I would assume there would be an ending for each of the characters. And then maybe there's an ending where all of them survive, you know, if you kind of like do everything. I would also be curious if there's like a Breath of the Wild style ending if you do nothing, because I know there's a thing where in the future, because there's 2 different timelines. There's the past, and then there's 5 years in the future when the demon army has invaded, and you're kind of like doing things in the past to like change the timeline, so that way the heroes of the past survive and make it to the future. At least that's the vibe I get. And so I'd be curious to see if there's a timeline where nobody survives, but you still defeat the Demon Lord. That'd be really interesting. But I also expect the opposite of what if all 5 survive. But no, listening to Mike talk about Fire Emblem, I found it fascinating. I was like fully engrossed. I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. These character choices, you know, it's all the Fire Emblem shit, you know, it's got all the tactic stuff, but then it's got all the social stuff you expect from Three Houses. So yeah, it seems great. It looks like they're taking the best of both worlds, where you've got all the social stuff in the exploration of Three Houses, but then you've got the gameplay of Engage, which Engage had the opposite problem. The story stuff and the characters sucked in Engage, but the gameplay was top notch. And I know there are some Fire Emblems that hate every new Fire Emblem, because Fire Emblem is split into 2 ages, pre and post Awakening. I've only played post Awakening Fire Emblem, and again, in theory, I really like it, and I probably won't play any pre-Awakening games because of permadeath. That's legitimately it. Like, I know Sacred Stones is not a great game, but it's the only other Fire Emblem I own, and I've never played it because of that. Even though I've always been curious about like Ike's game, Radiance Dawn and Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, but like, yeah, I'm excited for them to be on the Nintendo Switch Online, but that doesn't mean I'm actually gonna play them. But no, all of that was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to Mike just talk about it. I know Greg also got to play Wolverine, and I know there's been all this controversy because we saw the Sentinel boss in Wolverine, and it's one of those things where it's like attached to a wall and it's just like smashing at you with its hand, which has been a boss fight theme for like 20 years. Like, I remember fighting basically the exact same boss in Disney's Epic Mickey. But guess what? That's a fine boss. I think those bosses work fine. And like, I think King Dice and Cuphead also kind of, it has its own other mini boss gimmick, but the ending phase is basically just that. I think big arm bosses are okay, but everyone's fucking mad at it. I don't know. I didn't listen to Greg Miller talk about it, but I will at some point, because I am excited for Wolverine. I'm just more excited for Fire Emblem at the moment. I don't know. It's just, God, listen, I don't think I'm going to pick up Fire Emblem. It's fucking $70, $80, you know, if you want to buy it physically. I don't think I'm gonna spend that much money. I just really don't, but I'm still very interested. Like, hearing him talk about it, it's gonna be curious to see what the review scores shape out to be. But just listening to Mike talk, I was so invested. So that's one thing. Another thing, Game Changer. So this week's Game Changer was Earwig. So they did basically like an Among Us style social deduction game. All the characters were in their fanciest, poofiest, powderiest wigs, and they had a little earphone in. And the earphone was giving them instructions of what to do. However, one player got no instruction. So, you know, they're doing chameleon. And then at the end, they have to vote who do they think the imposter was. However, of course, this is Game Changer. There's got to be a loop-de-loop. So the loop-de-loop is that there are people with bonus tasks, where they have a secret bonus tasks. There are bonus tasks that go between multiple tasks. Sometimes you, like the first round, you don't know anything. And then as we get into subsequent rounds, we learn like more and more. I liked the episode in theory. In theory, the episode Earwig was very funny. In practice, the cast was good. Not the prompts weren't like anything super special. They like play up to the characters and the costumes, and that's not always great. Like sometimes that could get a little grating. It also didn't help that I watched, because like I saw someone post this on Reddit that like, oh, you know, the world is burning down around us, but at least every 2 weeks I have Game Changer, just as like a nice like 30 minutes to relax. And so I got off of a 12-hour workday and was like, God, at least I have Game Changer. And then I almost fell asleep watching the episode. I don't think I did, but I definitely almost fell asleep watching the episode. So like conceptually, I really liked the episode. In practice, it was okay. You know, I still like social deduction games. Unlike Kangaroo Court, where Kangaroo Court had a solid idea and then just a completely botched execution, where like somebody pointed out that nobody lies in Kangaroo Court. Or, well, Abria lies once on the first question and then never again. Nobody else tells a lie the whole time because, you know, Vic's busy doing their bit. But no, this worked a lot better. I actually, you know, you have people like Becca Scott who really fucking care. You have Ross Bryant. You have Jess Ross. Jess Ross? Not Jess Ross. Jess McKenna. You have Jess McKenna. You've got Izzy, right? You've got some good people. I think overall it's a solid episode. I'd say it's on the lower end of the season, but I think that's just because the season has been really good. So that's where I'd place that. Yeah, it's Game Changer, you know. It's been a change game. I don't know how many episodes we have left in the season. If I had to guess, we're, I don't know, halfway-ish through, maybe a little more. Let me see, Game Changer. Oh, we're more than, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was episode 7. I think normally there's like 10 episodes a season. Yeah, there's normally 10 episodes. There was 11 last year because of Samalama Ding Dong. But no, if we got 3 more episodes, that's good. But yeah, this was not as good as like last week's, or 3 weeks ago's episode. Noise to Make was fucking fantastic. I don't remember if we talked about that episode, but if you did not see Noise to Make, oh my gosh, fucking spin on for Make Some Noise. I hope they do that every season. Back when we get Make Some Noise next, do at least 1 episode like this. Count the Rice was also pretty good. Kangaroo Court sucked. Night Shift was okay. Roulette is still really funny, and I hope Roulette gets spun off. I think there's enough there that they could spin it off. I mean, they already made the wheel. Get as much use out of that wheel as possible. And then Don't Wink Standards and Practices was decent. Yeah, it's overall been a good season. I don't think they've reached the highs of the last one, but that's okay. I did see somebody point out that basically almost every game this season has had more than 3 people. Like, they keep getting these big ensembles of casts. And don't get me wrong, they've had some good stuff. But I wouldn't mind seeing a smaller scale episode that is just a cast of 3 playing a crazy thing. I mean, the only one we've really had is Roulette. And Roulette was great. Actually, I mean, Standards and Practices kind of, but you also do have the lawyer, so I wouldn't really count that. Kangaroo Court, I would definitely count the jury. I don't know, I have to see Night Shift again. It's been a while. God, Game Changer is just so good. Even if they fucking still haven't delivered my fucking merch. I bought a bit of merch from Dropout because I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And I think it got fucking stuck in shipping. And that was like a month ago. and I haven't heard anything about it since then. Like, come on, Game Changer, deliver my fucking shit. God. And I don't know. I see, the problem is I haven't seen anybody else talk about it either, so I'm assuming everybody's having the same issue. Let's see, I just pulled it up. Whatever. I was gonna try to pull it up, but then I want a code and I just gotta. Okay, whatever. We got all the things taken care of. Yeah. I guess that takes us to our little outro. We'll evolve the gold duck real quick. So the one movie is 6. If they're doing a pro cut of 6 that's currently in theaters, my local theater only has one showing on Saturday, one showing on Sunday, and they're both sold out. So I don't know if I'm actually gonna get to see 6 in theaters. Because fuck, man, that sucks. But other than that, I don't think I have anything else. There are no games coming out anytime soon. There are plenty of games I need to play on my backlog, but nothing new. We're gonna keep working on Pokemon. At some point we're gonna do Splatoon as well, but for the moment I just plan on keeping working on Pokemon. So that won't change anytime soon. And yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I mean, there's no other big games. I am working on something. I know I've mentioned it a few times. I'm working on something new. I made a lot of good progress with it, and my goal is to have it done within the next like 2 weeks. I don't know if it'll be on this channel, or I might end up doing it on its own new channel. So that might be something that happens. But my goal is to get it out within the next like 2 weeks. So yeah. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. I mean, you know, it's going. It's going. That's basically it. I've been busy with work these past few weeks. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm almost done. So we did our month of Animal Crossing, and I've been working on the bugs. I'm almost done. I'm missing 1 sea creature. I think I'm missing 4 bugs, which I think all of them are next month. And then I'm missing like 2 sea creatures. I'm not missing much at all. And then but I keep forgetting to play. Like, even if it's just to check the painting, I just keep forgetting. But I'm still working on it. I'm still having a good time. I don't know. There are so many games I need to play. Like, I still want to play Big Walk. I still want to play other things. Yeah, I guess that's just where we're going to end it. I don't really have much else to say. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.